So this message is brought to you by some hater on Threads. So I'm going to do my own thread series because some of the stuff that people post on there and the dialogue that they attempt to have, I'm like, this is why we're here as a society. People on Threads like to attack X Twitter because it's ran by Republicans and incels. Well, Threads is on the other side of the spectrum, right? And so this woman in particular just went on a rant. She was saying that she was super, super angry because she felt like not enough people were talking about the events of the world, right? And the state of America and all this kind of stuff. And so then she goes on to be like, fuck your vacation pictures, fuck your pictures of your dog, fuck your concert pictures. And the reason why I chimed in on her little thread was because she said, fuck your album release, which I felt that as like a personal attack as a musician who was going to release music in October. And I personally felt like it just wasn't the right time. And so now I have pushed my new music to the spring of next year. But like, I was like, girl, let's take it down a notch. Let's dissect what you're saying here. So, I mean, her anger is valid, right? A lot of things are happening, and I personally wish that more people were talking about it. And I'm specifically talking about white people, specifically white people who have black and brown friends, acquaintances, co-workers, spouses, girlfriend, boy, whatever. You know, your silence hasn't gone unnoticed, and we continue to watch the important white people in our lives stay silent on things. But something that came to me the other day was like, you know what? I don't know what people do outside of social media, right? I don't know what people do outside of work. I don't know what people do outside of the circumstances and situations that I may encounter these people. So what I was trying to tell this woman on Threads is like, social media has given people a sense of necessity to police what other people say, do, etc., etc. I was like, I have an issue with that because you cannot start policing people's intentions. If you think that everyone puts every single thing that they do on social media, then I mean, that's your problem right then and there, right? You don't know what people are doing outside of social media that they choose not to post, right? Like, I mean, that's just common sense. I will always use myself as a prime example, and that's what I did. I was like, baby girl, you cannot police what other people are doing because, first of all, you're going to give yourself unnecessary grief, but you don't know what people are doing behind the scenes, outside of their social media. I like to think that while people may be silent and choose not to post things or repost things or get on their soapbox like I do, you know, and say what I have to say, that they're at least doing the bare minimum and treating people the way they need to be treated, right? Now, the issue is like people voted a certain way, so they're getting exactly what they voted for, or picking and choosing to be silent on things and then picking and choosing to express certain other things, right? Like, I will use myself as an example. I specifically called out people that I was upset with that chose to announce their grief over the assassination of Mr. Kirk, but didn't speak about anything else. And this was a best friend, a man that I loved, that I, you know, at one point wanted to spend the rest of my life with, family members. Like, I specifically called out these people, you know, and I do talk about it on social media. But what I was trying to tell this girl is like, you don't know what I'm doing outside of social media. You don't know what other people are doing outside of social media. And I was like, you know, you need to stop. Because you saying, fuck this, fuck that, I'm angry, I hate the blah, blah, blah. I was like, you're expressing the same amount of hatred, just on the other end of the spectrum. And if you're on the spectrum of hatred, baby, that is still hatred. So I'm like, you being mad at all these people who did nothing to you, I'm like, we need to dial it down and redirect our anger, right? I also, like, as an artist, like I said, creative musician, I specifically chose to not release music in October, and I'm going to do that in the spring. I wrote a book and I haven't felt like advertising it or talking about it, but you know, this is my livelihood. I'm trying to at least make it into my livelihood. So I'm going to have to get over that at some point, and I'm going to have to get over what people may think about that. Right? I also told this girl, I was like, you don't know, again, for the umpteenth time, what people are doing outside of social media. I was going to make a little post about buying groceries as a single income household, right? Both my jobs were, collecting donations of food to take to local food banks, right? And so I was gonna make a cute little video, post it online. And you know why I didn't do that? Because I also know how people look at that type of content, look at those type of, posts of people of just wanting, attention, or, they're trying to paint themselves in a certain light. Again, policing people's intentions. We all know this. Where do you think the term "no good deed goes unpunished" comes from? And I'm not talking about wicked. No acts of charity go unresented. Where do you think that comes from? It's because no matter what you say, no matter what you do, people gonna be hating on you. Sorry, I'm like a natural poet, but it's the same thing. Even if you are going to post about what's happening, people hate on me. I get dragged for speaking out about Latinos for Trump, about the racism, about colorism in the Latino community. I have been called all sorts of things, right? And so the next time I learned my lesson, because I was like, look, if you want to post something, post it. And don't worry about what other people are going to think about. If I'm going to advertise my music, if I'm going to advertise my book, I cannot be concerned what other people may think about that. If I want to set the example on good deeds and volunteering, or what a true heart for Christ looks like, I cannot be worried about what other people are going to think about that, because there are always going to be people on social media policing and dissecting and straight up being haters, and we cannot worry about that. And I'm sorry if that upsets you, and that's what I said. That's what I told her. I was like, look, people are going to live their lives and you cannot be upset about it. You need to be concerned about what you're doing and what you're doing only. Why don't we just be more concerned about setting the example? Right? And I looked at her, I mean, right? If she was going to talk about it, I was hoping that she wasn't just going to be talking the talk, but walking the walk. And that's something that I'm trying to do in my life as well. Moral of the story is I would rather people be silent on social media, but setting the example of how we're supposed to be treating our neighbors, how we're supposed to be treating people around us. I would rather people get involved in their communities, or even if it's just in their household, because we're not aware of people's situations, right? I know a lot of people are silent because of maybe jobs or family members or whatever, and I have a different opinion about that. But you know what? I'm reminding myself, because I've said this so many times, that I need to be concerned about what I'm doing. If I want to see change in the world, I got to be that change. I can't, police what other people are doing or saying. It all comes back to me and what I'm doing, right? And also, my artists, if you have felt like me or not, right? Post your art, because I'm going to get into our stereotype for a second, but we were meant to interpret the world as we see it to help other people interpret the events of what's going on, or put into words what they're feeling. But also, we're meant to be distractions, right? The world is falling apart. I feel it. I know a lot of people feel it. We are going through a lot. We are under a reckoning in America and in society. But you know what? Sometimes as an artist, we're meant to be a distraction. We're meant to cause a different type of feeling, whether that's a good feely song that you're like, yes, let me just for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, forget my problems. Or if we read something nice, or if we see an artistic piece and we're like, wow, that made me feel something different. That is what our jobs are. That's what our obligations to society is. So do not feel apprehensive about posting your art. And I'm saying this to myself as well. And don't worry, I'm going to get back to it. But also, I want to see pictures of your dogs. I want to see your vacation pictures. Girly Pops, if you're looking good, I want to see you in them dresses and your makeup and just having the time of your life, because staying in this constant state of turmoil and in sadness and grief, I had to bring myself out of that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break from reading up on what's happening in the world. I'm going to take a break and talk about things that aren't politically motivated, right? Because I'm like, I was staying in that bubble and I couldn't do it anymore. So no, do not feel guilty about what you're posting. I don't care what this hater has to say. And I've seen other posts about it. I've seen posts about Thanksgiving, and I know people are going to post it about Christmas if they can't understand how people can celebrate, Thanksgiving and bring, countless amount of dishes to the Thanksgiving dinner when people are, outside starving. And I get that and I understand that. And I did my part, right?